conditioning up?
There's bodies here.
It was.
Okay, sorry, Bob.
Okay, well, this is an 81P plan. This is 77 Purchase Street. This is the Consigli property. We've been before you before for the recommendation for the special permit. We've been to ZBA, and they've granted the special permit. What the applicant is doing is, he had a large parcel, encompass this entire perimeter here, had an existing multi-family, multi-dwelling unit on it, with a masonry garage. He used to run a contractor's yard out of here for some time. So what they're doing is there's two zones. You've got the single-family residential zone and the central industrial zone is the zone line here. So what they're doing is they've created an 81P plan to subdivide the property. The existing house will be contained on an oversized lot, well, in this area here with the existing lot and the existing garage structure.
Zoning board.
The second lot will be a residential, single-family residential lot here. Meets all the requirements for area, frontage, shape factor.
To be built later on.
To be built later on, correct. And the remaining property to the rear in the central industrial A zone eventually will be combined with the Consigli property that is off of Sumner Street to become more of their campus for their business. And that's pretty much it.
Now all you need is Larry to say it's endorsable as submitted.
Endorsable as submitted. Thank you.
Motion.
Motion
Second.
made by Pat,
Second.
second by John. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Got the second one, Bob?
I hate to see that first house cut out. Just, that's beautiful property.
Not this one,
It said it said.
one down here.
Yeah,
This is a stucco building.
thanks. Berryman Bull.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you.
The second plan is at the end, the parcel of land at the end of Bacon Strip. The owner currently owns this large parcel, which actually almost touches Orange Slip. And the O'Brien Brook runs kind of through the parcel. So
Yeah.
what we've done is we've created an 81P plan, which is going to create parcel B and parcel A. Parcel B being the end of Bacon Slip with his existing house, pretty much running along the edge of O'Brien Brook. And the remaining land on the other side of O'Brien Brook will be sold to the hospital, so they can
I
add it
figured
to
that,
their,
yeah.
to their property.
Mm-hmm.
Motion.
Motion made by Pat, second
Second.
by John. All in favor? Unanimous. Huh? The hospital's looking great.
It's getting bigger.
It is, and how are the twins going? How are the twins going? Yeah, you can read your cover sheet, and then Bonnie is gonna do hers.
Three now? Doing number 3, Lena?
We're doing number 3, site plan review, Deer Street, Stone Ridge Business Park, Uterus Company. Okay, Larry, you're on.
The applicant requests site plan approval to construct 4 office buildings and associated off-street parking and driveways on the subject property. You'll recall that in 2002, town meeting created the BP Business Park zoning district and also rezoned the subject property to the new BP district. Subsequently, in 2006, the 80-acre 4-lot Stone Ridge Business Park subdivision that comprises the subject property was approved. The first site plan for development of the property was approved in 2008. An amended site plan was later approved in 2010. The validity period for the amended site plan, including any tolling provisions of the permit extension legislation, has since lapsed. The current submission is substantially unchanged from the amended site plan previously approved in 2010. The overall floor area of the 4 buildings totals 625,000 square feet, and a total of 256 parking spaces are being proposed.
2,000.
2,056, sorry. Deer Street's to be constructed and extended 694 feet, as provided for in the original subdivision approval. The proposed site plan complies with all applicable zoning requirements related to use, setbacks, parking, and landscaping. In addition to the on-site improvements shown on the site plan, the applicant is proposing numerous off-site improvements to mitigate traffic impacts, including A, improve and signalize the Deer Street intersection, B, improve and widen Route 85 Cedar Street in the vicinity of Deer Street and I-495 exit 20, C, improve 495 exit 20 ramps, including the installation of a roundabout to replace the intersection of the southbound ramps with Route 85. D, provide a coordinated occupancy phasing schedule that relates to installation of the various improvements. And E, installation of 2 flashing beacons at the Upper Charles Trail crossing on Deer Street. The mitigation issues A through D, just mentioned above, were memorialized in Mass DOT's finding for the project under Mass General Laws, Chapter 30, Section 61, dated March 6, 2009. I've attached a copy of that for your reference. In addition, the detailed phasing schedule included as Table 5-1, off-street traffic mitigation phasing in the October 2008 final EIR finding with the Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs. They keep adding letters, I forget what they are. Reflects in matrix format the system contained in Mass DOT Section 61 findings. As these state agency approvals were concluding somewhat concurrently with the previous amended site plan approval, your upcoming decision tonight regarding the current site plan application should more properly reference DOT Section 61 finding. Therefore, in light of the state agency approvals, I recommend the site plan be approved, subject to the following conditions. Excuse me. Number 1, no building permits shall be issued until the Deer Street Bridge plans are finalized and submitted to the planning board for acceptance. Preliminary bridge design shall be submitted for planning board review at the start of the Mass DOT review process. Number 2, occupancy permits shall only be issued in accordance with the off-site traffic mitigation phasing plan as contained in the Section 61 finding dated March 6, 2009. No occupancy permits shall be issued prior to the installation of 2 solar-powered, motion-activated flashing warning beacons at the Deer Street crossing of the Upper Charles Trail. Number 4, subject to Board of Sewer Commissioners' approval, which is included in the packet, as well as the state sewer extension permit. And number 5, subject to Milford Water Company approval, which is also included.
Okay.
This will establish a new 3-year period of validity under zoning bylaw section 1.15.8 as amended. Then the next item in the packet is the state permit.
Yep.
Just following that is the
Highway Department.
town engineer's comments that I think Bonnie will probably want to go through.
Okay, Bonnie,
herself.
thank you.
Elena. I had several comments related to stormwater controls, and I think it's important to note that the original site design was done in 2008, and we all know that things have changed in terms of stormwater for the town of
Right.
Milford recently. So there were several comments, so I'll just jump right into them. I'd like to see a detail for the 18-inch culvert crossing. There was one provided for the box culvert and for the bridge, and I think that was just left off the plans. I'd like to see erosion and siltation control details for the work that's going to be done at the stream crossings and the bridge construction location. On the utility plans, there are notes to hang the water, to insulate the water and sewer pipes. I'd like to see detail for both the insulation and the pipe hangers. There is a infiltration basin, number 7. It shows an isolator row, but the way that the basin is laid out, it's not 100% clear to me how it's going to work. I'd like to see a little more detail on that, and possibly discuss that with the engineers. There are 5 rows at the western end that seem to have been tacked on, and I'm not sure that that's gonna work the way these are supposed to work. The total suspended solid removal worksheet for wetland number 6 indicates that 80% total TSS removal is not achieved, although it states in the summary that it is achieved at all locations. Inlet H and Inlet B only achieve 25% total suspended solid removal prior to discharge to the infiltration basin, and 44% is now required by Mass Stormwater Standards. I'd like to see some more detail on the piping in basin number 3. The TSS removal worksheets refer to sediment forebays, but the plans don't show a detail for forebays. They show a flared end section. And if this is going to serve as a forebay, it has to be designed in accordance with the Mass Stormwater Standards. We need a TSS removal worksheet showing the removal between PR 2.4 and basin 5. It's not shown correctly on the HydroCAD routing diagram, and it is discharging directly into the wetland. The HydroCAD diagram for PR 3.4 to wetland 5 to basin 3 is also, appears to be not correct. The plan does not show any connection between wetland 5 and basin 3. And then I had a few comments about traffic as well. The traffic study identified an increase of 5,470 new vehicle trips per day. The future condition was based on the year 2012, so I think that the traffic study should be updated to the current year for the current condition. The final EIR identified the intersection of Route 16 and Cedar Street as a place where traffic mitigation would be needed. The traffic study showed the year 2012 build condition level of service as D/F through the morning and evening peak hours respectively. Mass DOT recently replaced the signals at this intersection in 2013. However, improvements to the intersection geometry are still needed. So the recommendation in the FEIR was that they would adjust the signal timing. The signal timing has been adjusted, and that has not really completely resolved the problem. So this alternative should be discussed further with the town, since that is something that we have on our long-term traffic management plan. The year 2012 build condition level of service for Purchase Street at Dillis Street in both the AM and peak hours was F, and the level of service predicted for the Fortune Cedar Dillis Street intersection under 2012 build conditions was also F for both the AM and the PM peak hours. I'd like to have additional discussion between the town and the applicant's engineer regarding improvements at these intersections, because they currently are stressed, and adding another 5,000 vehicles per day is going to just make that worse.
So true, yeah. All set, thanks, Bonnie. Just following along, that the sewer commission has also voted favorable in the action. The energy environment,
That's a sewer extension
Yeah.
permit from the state, yeah.
I just want to check this out here. These special conditions,
That's the same, that's part of the other permit.
Next
The sewer
one's the
permit.
fire department.
that's part of the sewer permit, right? Okay, the fire department, Milford Fire Department review of the site plan on Deer Street, number 1, a water supply, the required fire flow for the subdivision shall be based upon the hydraulic calculations. Water main size and the possible need for fire pumps will be determined after review of the fire flow calculations. Fire hydrants, all hydrants shall be approved, metal hydrant with flags. Fire lanes requirements, the fire lanes be changed since 2008 Fire department access roads shall have an unobstructed width or not less than 20 feet. Fire department access roads construction in the boulevard style shall be allowed where each lane is less than 20 feet but not less than 10 feet when they do not provide access to the building or structure. This code is new to Massachusetts as of January 1st, 2015. Fire lanes shall be posted, no parking via lanes, tow zone. Number 4, fire department connections and knock boxes, location shall be determined by the fire department. And thank you for that. So that's the fire department. And let's see, the highway department, I reviewed the above-mentioned site plan and find it to be satisfactory. However, I would like to attend the planning board meeting to obtain more information concerning the impact of the bike trail and answer some questions I have. All trench permits and road opening permits must be obtained by the Milford Highway Department. All right, Mr. Pettinari's letter is next. And I think we're good. No, I'm good, thanks. I know you're there. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Yes,
Well, let's
Can
let's
we,
do-
let's hear a
not now,
presentation,
not now.
yeah.
Okay, we're gonna do this. Okay, Mr.
I'm Ray
Pettinari.
Pettinari. I'm a lawyer here in Milford. I've been associated with this project since the earliest stages in 2002, when in fact, as Larry's memorandum points out, this property, about 81 acres, was rezoned by the town meeting to go into the newly designated business park zoning district. Subsequent to that, we had years of meetings at which we developed the plan in the shape and size and topography and dimensions that it's before you this evening. And as recently as 2008, we received site plan approval. That site plan approval has lapsed. Had that site plan approval not lapsed, we wouldn't be here. We're here basically to restore the property to its status quo position before the lapsing of the special permit. There is really nothing new with this project in terms of anything that we have done relative to design. The comments that Vonnie has made, we just haven't had an opportunity to discuss directly with Vonnie, as it was only received last week. So her comments are things that will be dealt with as we move forward. In that regard, Chris Novak is here from VHB. Ed Scioli is the project manager for Gutierrez. So we're here in the room tonight. But my only overview and the only reason that I'm speaking is to make sure everybody understands, all we're looking to do is to have this property restored to an approved site plan condition in identical fashion to as it had been from 2008 until it lapsed in late 14. We can answer questions. We're here to talk about the site. We're able to do that. But in terms of the overall presentation, there's really not much to add to what had been in existence during the local approval processes that existed from 2002 until late 14. So if you want Chris to address the questions that Bonnie's asked, we can do that now. Or if you want to see what other questions arise, maybe we can do it as.
Pat has a quick question.
So essentially, you're still, this isn't something that you're ready to develop at this point, and all you're trying to do is keep the theory of a permit alive.
Correct. As
Regrettably, you can certainly answer Vonnie's questions, but I think it's going to be actually more productive to do so directly with Vonnie, and at that time, have Vonnie give us the indication that her answers have been satisfied. If nothing substantially has changed, other than the fact that the new laws have changed and now you have to update yourself, the only thing that I would clearly want some great detail or great effort put in is relative to the intersections. Obviously, getting them out of an F status, it should be paramount. And bringing them to a D isn't much better. So, whatever you can do, I think a heavy concentration. So again, that would be my major concerns in lieu of, obviously you have to overcome the new laws and Vonnie's new concerns. And other than that, I obviously, this is my opinion, but nothing's going to be answered now because for me, like I said, just those intersections that were identified, clearly adding 5,000 plus cars to an F, I don't know if you can have a double F, but that's clearly where you're heading.
Right.
When we were here back 6 or 7 years ago, you may remember, one of the parts of this proposal was to do and propose and construct a
Turnaround.
roundabout.
Right.
Roundabout,
A
yeah.
roundabout, yeah.
That plan had gone from here to DOT, and DOT had approved it based upon all of the data that was available at that time. My preference, Mr. Kennelly, would be, as yours is. I think the administrative conversations that we have in the town of Milford are much more helpful in resolving questions that the professional staff has than having them at this kind of a forum.
Right.
The only other thing I want to make sure the board understands is Gutierrez has been pursuing the construction and the development of this property very diligently, and what they need, obviously, is the first tenant. There's an awful lot of office space that can be developed on that site, and the first tenant, in their opinion and mine, would be that it will break that logjam, and then everything will start to fall into place.
Not like the old days, you can't build it and they will come. I understand
I know that,
conceptually
right.
But until
where you're
we-
yeah.
at. But I also know that you need the permit
To get the
to
tenant-
make it viable.
Correct.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
regrettably, because the permit's elapsed, you now have to conform to the new regulations and standards. And like I said, for me, obviously, the Diller Street intersections and so on and so forth, we really need to work to get them out of an F status, so.
But again, you've got a picture of what we're trying to say.
But again, I have no objections, as I didn't back in '08, other than the fact that regrettably now you have to come up with, into the new regulations and work diligently on the intersections. That's just my,
Right.
and again, obviously, you have to handle Vonnie's concerns. Sure.
Right, so the next step would to meet with Bonnie and get it all together, and then come back here and
That would be
you'll be
fine.
back. And so that's the way it should work.
That's fine. And the other thing I want to make sure you know is that the fire lanes they do comport to the new code.
Oh, do they?
So-
Oh,
so
okay,
that's the
well,
one
that's a
thing
good
that we
thing.
wanted to
I
make
think
sure.
in the John Tui, even previous, I think they were 20 feet before, if I recall, so I don't think that's really,
That hasn't changed,
they may have actually been 24.
They've been marked accordingly.
yeah.
Yeah, and I don't, I don't.
Just so we've at least established that, in case anyone is concerned that
The
the
only
fire
other,
lanes are
the only
deficient.
other thing, Ernie, is I'll touch base, and I'm not really sure what the concerns may be relative to the bike path. I understand adding the cross signs, I get that. I really don't think that, that's a major thoroughfare, but I don't know what Scott Christopher's concerns are, so I think that's something that you may want to touch upon with him, because.
We did
Check
talk-
it out with him,
That's fine, let the,
Okay.
but
Answered these questions, so what he had,
all
I
right.
don't think he even came tonight.
Again, if the board's position is you'd like us to come back,
I would like it,
well, I think you need
I
to,
think you're gonna have to.
You're
I
gonna
You're
think
gonna have
you
to
need
come back.
to
I would
secure.
like to, I'd like to make sure that, because I know some of these may come back to the town in terms of the traffic stuff. I'd like to be kept apprised of those things as to how they go. If that means that we need to go to the Board of Selectmen to talk about some stuff, I'd be more than willing to do that. But this is certainly an opportunity to try to improve traffic conditions in a corridor that needs help. So there may be some stuff that the town should try to do is piggybacking on with the applicant. So I'd like to make sure that we're aware of that as you have that discussions. I don't believe this is something that, I'm not sure that in a month's worth of time, they're gonna have those all answered, so I don't think this is that quick a thing, so I'd like to just know what's going on and what you foresee is possible improvements that we should be looking at, and what the applicant believes those are too.
Okay,
if it's possible, Joe, to that point, if it's possible along the way, if we can get some updated on the traffic studies and so on and so forth, that would
that
probably
would
be
work.
helpful.
Yeah,
we can find that out,
you
sure.
can find that, out? Yeah.
Yeah, and it would also, I agree with Lonnie in terms of, we definitely need the 2015. It would also be interesting to see what the difference in the counts have been over those 3 years, just to be able to compare that difference and see whether we're
I can tell you
getting.
it's gotten better.
Well, no, I know it hasn't.
I
I'm
know
just- I'm
that.
just wondering, I'm wondering if the factors that we're using to extrapolate the data are correct or not, and this would certainly give us a very good idea as to what that factor should be, so I think that would actually help too.
So,
Larry's asked us to sign an extension, we've just done so.
okay.
My
okay.
suggestion would be if you
September.
grant an extension till next month, just in case they can get things done. If not, we'll just do another one then.
Okay, so.
I'd be prepared
so-
to sign another one next month, Ernie, because not that
Understood.
I just think you have a
It's a
large,
lot.
large amount of work
It
that I
is.
do not believe can be handled in 30-day period.
Well, again, we wanted to make sure that everybody on your side of the table knows what's happening. The good news, as I said, is that we're closer to that tenant than we were, 3, 4, 5 years ago. We're not over the hump yet, and we obviously wanted everybody to know that, and we remain excited
Yeah.
about the project, but
That's
it's a
great.
big project, and it's taken a long
It'll be
time.
nice if we can get it in.
Yeah.
Quite
it would be nice.
unequivocally.
So that's it.
Okay, so Ernie, so you got the whole month,
Yep.
and if
Well,
you need
probably
more,
Yeah.
you'll-
I
if
would
you
think
need more,
more.
you'll be coming back anyway, so.
We'll let you
I'll
know.
anticipate your next letter.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll let you know probably more
Okay.
informally if we can't make it for August.
All right.
And
All right.
With the understanding
Well,
that
you-
whatever it takes, we'll get it done.
you can always email Larry, and then Larry will give us all the information, and then, what you're going to do is get in touch with Vonnie and work it all out,
we will.
okay?
The only other thing, I don't know what Scott had on the bike path, one of the things that I
Oh,
would
that was the other
suggest. This is a pet peeve of mine, but I'd be looking, and I don't know what you had for details on that or not, but on the bike pathways, I wanna make sure that there's stop signs on the bike path itself. People that are on bikes tend to think they have the right of way in a crosswalk, they don't seem to understand that they actually have to walk the bike across or wait for the cars.
right.
So they need to have a stop sign there, and, past that, I guess we can take a look at how that crossing is. That may be a discussion point when we get into a little more detail. Not that it's a big deal, not that it's a big change, but I just wanna make sure that those things are covered.
When the plan was first approved, it was before the bike path really had gotten up and operational. And we were
That's true.
talking conceptually rather than practically. I think
Right.
now, on Dilla Street and at other places, you see the beacons now.
You
and
do.
That was an idea, now we know what it is.
Okay, all right.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we'll see you in a month.
If
We'll
there's
see you in
general
a-
questions in the audience, in case there's anything that somebody wants to say, you might as well take those, Lena.
Oh, yes,
My name is Harold Rose, representing the Commission on Disability. Larry, could you just update me on the number of parking spots and the number of handicap parking spots planned, if you know?
I don't have that off the top of my head. They have it on the plans.
We'll see
You
that in a
had, you
month.
had all that
we'll
to
see
read.
that in a month,
see it in a
okay?
month.
Okay.
When they
You
get
have a-
everything together next month,
You have a
we'll
full
have
set
a
of
package.
plans. You
We'll get
have
them the information.
Will you
complete
get them
set
the
of plans
information?
to
Okay,
review.
that'd be great. All
Everybody
right,
else
We'll
got
get
it.
that to Mr.
okay,
Rose.
that's great. All right,
See you later.
Thanks. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Don't go
Let you do
away.
it slow.
don't go away, Ernie, you're next again.
If we could skip to number 13,
I'm here at the request of my dear friend John Fernandez, who's tied up in Boston.
Okay, so you're here for a special, ZBA
West
special
Street?
Yes.
permit for West Street. All right,
The present use of the property is for a package store,
wait a second.
and, I'm sorry, Lena, go ahead.
Excuse me, I gotta go down the bottom here.
the bottom one, yeah.
I got
And-
it. So let me
and-
just read this
Go right
for a
ahead.
minute, okay?
Yep.
So, the applicant requests a ZBA special permit to allow for a change of tenant to operate an all-alcohol package store on the subject premises. The existing building contains a package store on the first floor and an apartment on the second floor. The prior special permit in 1995 to 2005, see attached, were both personal to the tenant at the time. This application seeks to either have the restriction eliminated altogether or a minimum of or at minimum to issue the minimum be issued to the applicant as a new tenant. There are no changes to the site being proposed with this application. Therefore, I recommend a favorable report to the zoning board of appeal on the special permit. Okay,
Well, to the applicant is the new tenant. That's my recommendation.
So what happened? The zoning
Right.
board applied, it gave the permit not to the property, but to the applicant?
Correct.
Okay.
And they've been doing that for particular uses for a number of years.
Okay.
And what happens is that when the current possessor of the permit decides to go out of the business and attempts
Then
to
you start all over.
have a new tenant, you
to
have to
start all
have a
over.
special
yeah,
permit.
you do.
The package store license has been changed by the Board of Selectmen. That's already been done.
That's done.
And the only thing that is necessary is there's a hearing with the zoning board on Thursday evening, at which time they're gonna seek to have the special permit issued, as the application says, either to the new applicants or to have the condition eliminated.
Okay.
Larry's position, and I respect his position, I think it's a reasonable one, is that your board could recommend favorable to have it go to the new tenants. And that's all I'm here to ask for tonight.
Okay,
I'll make that motion.
okay,
To go to the
Jim.
property or go to the tenant?
Go to the tenant.
Okay.
Motion made by John,
Second.
go to the tenant, second by Babe. All in favor?
Yes. My preference, however, would be that it go to the property, but.
Right. Okay, unanimous of 5.
May I have your copy of the letter, please?
Okay.
You're good. All
Thank you,
right,
folks.
Ernie?
Appreciate it.
Okay, now we're back to normal.
What?
Number 4.
All right. Hold on. Okay,
the,
number 4, continue review amended site plan 120 to 128 Medway Street, Milford Plaza Association.
So,
Associates, oh, thanks.
yeah, this was pretty much
This is the
ready.
Kmart, yeah.
Except for the drainage issues that you have various memos. So the only thing left to address were the comments that Bonnie had on her review of the most recent drainage. The applicant's response is in there. I believe they have a copy, or actually.
Bonnie had a lot of questions. Did they answer
That's-
all your questions, Bonnie?
Refer to Bonnie.
Yes.
So you're all set with this?
To be brief, there is a letter from Allen and Major dated July 13th.
Uh-huh.
And it, Ryan Bianchetto and I have had a conversation about all of these items. A couple of things I just want to point out to the board. They did do CCTV inspection of the drainage system, and there are sections that will be replaced.
Okay.
And there are pipe joints that will be sealed. And so while that work is ongoing, we'll keep an eye on that and make sure that there's nothing else that's needed when they're in the field doing the work.
Okay.
It has, I did state in my letter that any additional improvements that need to be made to the drainage system that we uncover during construction, that they'll take care of it. And that any structures that need to be replaced, because all the old structures are block manholes, they should use precast manholes for anything new that they put in. Also, on the side, where the garden center used to be, the slope of the pipe, they have to meet existing, but the slope of the pipe is very shallow, and so I do still have some doubts about how that's gonna work. So I have stated that the owner of the site will be responsible going forward if there are any additional drainage improvements that need to be
Okay.
made.
Yes.
And then the final issue was I had asked for a trash grate where the stream enters the underground drainage system between the DoubleTree and
Right.
the old Kmart. They have declined that request.
Because?
Because there is no head wall on the pipe. The location where the trash grate would go would actually be on the DoubleTree property. So I am going to recommend that the town work with the highway department and take a look at that. The highway department has said that they do not have an issue with maintenance there, that they agree that there should be some kind of a trash grate so that we don't get a blockage in the pipe that goes under the parking lot.
Well, that's good. Okay, thank you. Let's see. Okay. I think we're good. Okay.
Finally,
Your name, please?
Good evening. My name is Steve Schneider. I'm with Allen and Major. Ryan is on vacation this week. He's asked me to stand in for him. Bonnie just did a great job explaining where we
Right,
are at this
right.
point. That's what I was here for. And we just basically concur with all of her findings, and we just wanted to reiterate that where we're asked to be able to put a trash rack there, it's difficult to build one without a head wall. And then the second point is that it's not on our property. I'm afraid of issues that if it were to block up and back up, it wouldn't be on our property, it'd be on the abutters' properties, which,
Is that the DoubleTree you're talking?
yes, it would be. It would be the hotel property behind us.
Okay.
So, didn't want to start any issues with that.
all the other issues that had been previously
Yeah, I know.
brought up are reflected, the improvements are reflected on that.
On the latest plans that were,
C3.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was the only plan left
Yeah,
to update.
right,
yeah.
right.
And they were all delivered to your office yesterday.
So the,
So it's ready to go.
It is, the
town
only
is gonna-
problem I have is I prefer you to work out the trash grade, because I think it's needed. I understand what you're saying, but I think that, based on the amount of work that you're doing to that property, it makes more sense for you to do it than to have the town come in and do it. That's just my opinion.
is there a consideration for you?
Well, no, you don't, there's no consideration. You could, you
Them
could
to do
approve
it
it with,
with-
yeah, I mean,
with that,
it's,
yeah.
I respect what you're telling us.
Yes.
And it's very logical. However, I have to defer that I think it's well needed, and to, again, based on the amount of work that you're doing to this property, to hang it to the town just doesn't make sense to me. But that's just my opinion.
I understand. Yep.
Make the motion, Pat.
Anyone else?
I don't know if there's any concerns, so.
Babe?
Yeah, I got the same concern. I think they should try to work with the DoubleTree, maybe get an easement
Absolutely,
and
and
set the,
Oh, yeah, they have to.
and set the head wall. Also, on the repairs to the drainage system, again, the formal fill, to work with the mortar and all that, I'd like to see inspected before it's backfilled.
Okay.
Reasonable condition.
Is that it, Babe? Joe?
You know, the only thing I guess I would ask is the pipes that you did find that needed to be repaired, are they delineated on the plan now?
Yes, they are. Yeah, they're on the plan. We've noted all the locations where we have to make new penetrations into for the new roof leader connections. Everything's been documented.
Are you going to go from structure to structure on in the replacement of the pipe?
Yes. And the ones that,
Not in all
not all the pipes. The other ones that are being replaced are the ones up against the street. The ones behind, we're relocating some of them, so these back here are new, but we'll be repairing and replacing pieces that need to be redone.
Well, the problem with repairing is trying to get the same type of, the pipe that fits.
Right, and there are fittings that we could fit for those, and we've put forth a couple of recommendations for how we could repair the pieces that are in the middle without tearing the whole thing up and redoing it.
And my recommendation is be prepared for a lot of water.
Yes, we know. We did the videoing through it, we know there's a lot of water in that pipe all the time.
I put a 3,000 gallon grease trap in there. It was awful.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Pat, make the motion.
Have a motion?
I'll make a
Pat?
motion, was this a public meeting that started? It's been so long.
No, it's not a
No,
public
okay, I
hearing.
couldn't
no.
remember.
Then
Amended
Make a
site plan.
motion to amend the site plan, subject to the concerns that Vonnie had pointed out. And you have two options, in my opinion. Either you put in the grate or you pay the town to do it, but I don't feel that it's, personally, I think you guys can work out an easement with the DoubleTree or whatever it's called now. That would be my preference. I mean, I guess I'm giving you an option, but really, it still makes more sense for you guys to work out an easement with the DoubleTree and put the grate in. That would be my,
So your motion is
that's, yeah, subject to Vonnie's,
To the comments.
comments?
comments, and that the grate be put in as part of this project.
I
Okay.
guess I have one concern about the idea of the grate, is that effectively that grate, if it stops stuff, and I understand where the applicant is coming in this particular case, and if we require it, we become party to this, is that if we put the grate in, the trash isn't coming from this location, it's coming from the DoubleTree. And if it clogs, it's gonna flood the DoubleTree. So we're putting on to this applicant flooding of his property and DoubleTree's by doing it, and it's not he didn't create any of the issues. So by saying we're gonna put the grate in, we're requiring the grate, we become party to that. So I'm not sure that I'm comfortable going down that path. If it were their site and they were producing the trash and they needed to monitor it and they needed to do it, I wouldn't have any problem in the world.
point.
But considering it's behind Kmart's and most of the stuff is coming from the DoubleTree,
I don't know where the trash is coming from,
the
Joe.
cemetery.
I have no idea where the trash is coming from, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't know.
well, I don't think it's from this site.
It's
I
not
guess
from the site, it's
I don't know.
coming from cemetery and off of the DoubleTree. The flow is in this direction, so if it's gonna get hung up before it gets to our property, it's definitely not coming off of our property to do it.
That's right.
Joe makes a good point about the fact that we, the town of Milford, should not be involved with that either, because we don't want to have that issue on us.
Well, again, if Doubletree were before us here,
Right.
as part of this, then I would have more, but Doubletree should be the one that's maintaining this, if that's the case, or the cemetery, and I don't think Father Scioli's here either, but, so I don't think that we have a mechanism to be able to, to put it on these people to end up having to clean this. I don't think is necessarily is fair, because I don't believe it's coming from their site, and so I just don't really feel comfortable about it. I understand where Vonnie's coming from and trying to keep that stuff out, but I don't think this is the location or the mechanism to do it. I think the proper thing is for the town to go to Doubletree or to wherever, and if we're worried about it, because it then flows into our drainage system out in the street, that we should approach them, and that's where we should go with it. That's my feeling on it.
And I'd like to offer, we're back to the Conservation Commission later this week, and I have to assume that one of the conditions that will be received from the Conservation Commission is that we're going to monitor and maintain to make sure that this drain line is clear. We just don't want to have to go off our property to be able to make sure that it's being
Okay.
maintained properly. We can do everything on the site once the pipe gets onto it, and if that's a condition of, from the Conservation Commission, we'll adhere to it. We just don't want to go off. It just.
Yeah, I don't think you have any rights to.
I understand that,
I'm seconding Pat's
yeah.
motion.
So Pat, your motion, are you gonna stand with that motion, or you're gonna stand with your motion?
Well, yeah, I'm tossed between, I understand Joe's
Just
convictions, but I
motion.
also understand that putting debris through that is only gonna make it worse somewhere, somewhere further down, so, again, I'll stick
Okay.
with the
You
motion.
stick with the motion, okay. Do I have a
I
second?
second it.
The worst that's
Second
gonna
by
happen
John.
is it's gonna be a 3-2, and then it's gonna go back, so that's
So,
the worst
right,
that's gonna
okay.
happen.
Could be a 2-2 if she doesn't vote.
No. No, Babe's there.
Okay. All right, so, motion's been made and seconded. Who's in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
you got 3
Aye.
in?
Got 3 ayes.
Babe said yes, I don't know what you're saying,
Yep.
Joe?
No, I'll
myself.
be opposed.
Yeah.
I'm for the plan,
Yeah,
I'm just
I
not for the
seconded it,
condition.
remember?
Okay. Oppose?
Yes, I made the motion, yes.
Okay. So it's 3
In favor.
in favor, 2
Opposed.
Opposed.
There you go. Motion carried,
motion carried.
with those conditions.
And could I just step back for a second and understand the condition? It was, we do it, or we pay the town to do it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right, that's
That's
the
fine. I just
motion.
need to report back tomorrow morning, that's all.
Okay. Okay.
I prefer that you get an easement, so then you're allowed to go there and clean.
Yeah, I don't
That
know.
would be
if-
my preference.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you very
thank you.
much.
I know.
Number 5.
Okay, what are we doing, number
Okay,
5?
number 5, continue site plan review to 400 East Main Street,
Thing is, it's
FRE Building Corporation.
it's up to them to keep their system.
Right.
Yeah.
Supposed to be in Amy's house at 7:30.
No. Concrete trunk.
Not with this one.
No, it is. A bad bar.
All right. Just want to make a statement here for the people that are here tonight. We have all received your email, your letters that you had written to all of us. And so we will discuss this later on as soon as Bob goes through his. And what I would like to do is that I would like one of you to speak for the group here, if that's at all possible. If it's not possible, maybe, we don't want to be saying the same thing over and over again. So if you could make that decision within your group, or if you've already made that decision, then just raise your hand when we're ready for you, and you'll be able to speak. Is that satisfactory? Okay, thank you. Okay, Bob.
So as we presented previously, this is the proposal for a cement concrete plant located at 400 East Main Street, basically on the westerly side of Route 16. So we had several comments, some issues that we needed to address after the last meeting. One was to make sure that the water company had enough capacity to service this, and they have no problem. We presented them with the fact that the estimated usage would be about 10,000 gallons per day, and they responded with a letter saying they have no issue with supplying that. We also looked at traffic. We did a traffic study, and we also did a supplemental memo on the traffic study. With me here today is Kim Hazavadian, who is our traffic engineer, who will be willing to answer any questions regarding traffic. Bonnie had some comments regarding what we did, so we submitted some updated information regarding the actual operation and maintenance of the plant itself and how things would be, how the actual plant would operate. We've updated that particular document to include that there would be a sprinkler system installed as part of the project to keep the dry material in the bins from creating too much dust, and also the areas that would not be paved to keep the dust down in those from the vehicular traffic that might travel on those. The majority of the traffic is going to be through a paved area, though. The trucks would enter, come through, get filled, and then leave. Here again, as we stated in our original submission, it generally takes between 20 and 25 minutes to actually load a truck and get it to go, ready to go out the site. So, with regarding traffic, there's gonna be approximately 4 trucks per hour that might leave the site. You know, about 8 during the peak morning hours. We looked at what happens if they make a right-hand turn and try to climb up the hill. And generally, we looked at the grades going up, and by the time a truck gets up to the crest of the hill, it's running about 25 miles an hour. So there'll be some hesitation, you know, but there's not a lot of trucks going in and out. You know, there's based just on the sheer fact of how long it takes to fill a truck and get it out and get it to a job site and then come back. And there's only about 12 trucks that's gonna be worked on this particular project, you know, per day going in and out. I added a detail to the plan that showed how the driveway would be graded. This isn't the most updated plan, but it was already colored up. But so I made sure that the driveway had a crown, and it shows the crown in the revised grading, and also shows the crown in the detail. We put a detail on the plan for that. And generally, I think that the only issue really that was significant was the impacts to traffic. And here again, like I say, we have a traffic study, and our traffic engineer is here to answer any other questions.
I noticed, Bob, when I was driving around there today, that the stone company right next door where you're gonna build, they also have a number of trucks
Correct.
climbing up that hill and taking that left turn all the way up.
Yes.
Is that gonna impede at all, and the other trucking, or the
Well,
hours and that sort of thing?
They're about 800 feet away from this entrance, their entrance. They do enter in onto a steeper grade than we do. Well, we enter in, we're relatively flat. They actually enter in at a steeper
go up.
grade.
I noticed
So,
that.
so they're already creating a slowing effect with their vehicles. But I don't know that won't affect, I don't think it's gonna seriously affect.
I'm just wondering about
us.
the times of them coming and going.
Yeah, I don't think they're as consistent with, I don't know what their traffic counts are, but obviously
Okay.
they've had a site plan that was approved,
Yes,
so, you know,
yeah, okay.
they must have done a traffic study.
Pat?
Bob, I'm not, as you know from the previous meetings, I'm not opposed to the use as I'm opposed to the location. And I appreciate what you did, but I'm still not there, so my opinion still hasn't changed, and I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
I'm not there either.
No,
I
Pat?
agree with Pat, I don't like the location
Okay.
at all.
Joe, what?
It's an approved location for it. I don't know if we have anything to say legally for that, but I did see the wall, and that isn't gonna cut it. Not even close. So unless we hire a geotechnical engineer to design a wall for this site, there's no way I'm approving it. I mean, that's a blatant try to go around the regulations, to give us something that's done as a generic for this type of wall. I know that wall can be engineered, but I'd like to see you use that wall at that location based on the fact that you said there was a lot of ledge in there. I'd like to see somebody do a tieback at 0.7 the height into a ledge cut, because I don't think it's going to happen. So I could approve it based on that, using that wall specifically, and cause Mr. Pfaff to spend millions of dollars to try to put that wall in, or we could do a geotechnical study and put the right wall in up front. That'll be his choice.
Yeah, as I said, I think the question is whether or not, how much is gonna actually need a wall, or how much would be actually a machined ledge face.
And that's what I asked you to
Know
put
what I
on the
mean?
thing,
But-
because that's gonna change what that looks like considerably, depending on whether that's a ledge cut or a
Right.
wall and where that goes. And, you know, that's the reason why that portion of the bylaw was changed. Was specifically to address those types of reasons, because we were getting stuff like that before, and we ended up with a wall collapse because somebody put something in. And I'm certainly not willing to go down that path again, and I'm not willing to take a wall calculation for a generic wall and say I'm gonna put that in there, because I know it doesn't fit, and it isn't gonna look anything like that. That was my only comment. I mean, I wish there was something else there, but it is an approved use for that site, and I don't know that we have, you know, we're
Babe,
saying.
thank you, Joe. Babe, do you have any comments?
I agree with Joe on that, and also I'd like to see a truck wash as the trucks, after they're loaded and they're going out to wash the trucks down.
Prior to leaving the site, loaded trucks?
Okay.
Yeah, like I say, I'm not, it may be part of this particular operation, I'm not aware, but it's a good, yeah, we'll pass that along.
Okay. What about the traffic study? Is there someone here to,
This is our traffic engineer, right here. So if
could you
you
give
have
us,
any
could you
questions,
give us your name and
Uh,
give us a,
Good
Tell
evening,
us
my name
about
is
it.
Kim Hazavardi, and I'm traffic engineer with TEP LLC. Please use my first name, it's a little easier.
okay?
We did the traffic impact and access memorandum dated June 19th, and I'll just walk you through that real quick. The first thing we looked at was trip generation for the concrete plant, and that was based on operational data. The numbers are all on table 1, and I'm not going to belabor the details
No.
in the table.
That's fine.
But the bottom line is, as far as the trucks go, they can basically deal with 4 trucks in an hour as far as processing goes, so that puts sort of a lid on the truck numbers in any given hour.
Can I ask
Sure.
a question related to that? So Bob had said that also, but further in your report on page 8, it says during the weekday AM peak hour, in and out, there'll be a total of 17 trucks was what
Right.
you calculated, and then the weekday PM composite peak hour, a total of 16 trucks between the in and out. So that's quite a difference from 4 trucks.
Oh, if I use the word trucks in my narrative, I meant vehicles.
Well, it's still a difference, 17 versus
big
4.
There are other vehicles too. There are the commuter vehicles, deliveries.
But that's all part of the traffic
Absolutely.
that's being
That's a
generated by the site.
right.
That is correct. I'm just saying, as far as the the concrete trucks that come in and get filled up, which I understand to be the main concern, those are the numbers.
I just want the board to understand that the number of vehicles entering and exiting the
It's
site.
more than 4 per hour.
during
More
the
than
peak-
4 per
During
hour.
the peak hours is
If you don't mind, I'll go over that
considerably
in
more.
more detail a little bit. If you look at table 1, for the AM peak hour, actually on that table we have 2 types of vehicle trips presented. One is for typical operations, and the other is for peak demand operations, 450 cubic yards a day, and those are the numbers I'll talk about, the busier case. We looked at 3 peak hours, and we take the trucks and add in the other vehicles. It's 17 trips during the weekday AM street peak hour, 16 vehicles for the busy hour in the afternoon for the site, 3 to 4 p.m., total of in and out. And then for the peak hour that coincides with the street in the afternoon, it's 4 vehicles. And what we did was we analyzed the proposed East Main Street site driveway intersection for the weekday AM peak hour. And then for the afternoon condition, we combined the street peak hour volumes with the busier 3 to 4 p.m. site volumes to create a composite peak hour, which is kind of an artificially superimposed condition, just to be conservative. So that's what we based our analysis on. For existing volumes, we used a casino traffic study, we essentially looked at their future traffic volumes, took away the traffic due to the casino, took away the road improvements due to the casino, and that created our future no-bill traffic volumes, traffic in the future without the concrete plant. And then we added the concrete plant's traffic back in, and we estimated 80% of that traffic going to and from 495, with the rest going the other way, up and down the hill to the east. Now, I did go out and looked at the the Milford Stone Company site yesterday. I was out there from 2:15 to 3:15, and I saw 4 of the heavy trucks leave, and all of them happened to go toward 495, which I believe confirmed that distribution that I had estimated.
Well, when I was driving there, I saw 3 of them going right by Stop and Shop and going through 16 that way.
Oh, going the other way?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, going,
Going
okay, so they were
towards,
going,
going
okay, so they weren't,
towards, going to.
so they weren't going up the hill, they were going down the
They
hill.
may not have been going, they were going towards 495, they may
495.
not have got on 495, they
They,
continued.
they took this,
Yeah, your
they went back to
distribution's
their
probably
base,
correct.
is what they did.
Okay,
Yeah,
so-
All right.
So you didn't see any going left out of their site and up the hill either then?
No, I did not.
I was waiting to see one, but I gave
Oh,
up
I
after an hour.
saw 2 of them go up the hill. I'm sorry.
Okay.
2 of them did go up the hill. They were driving in, yes. This is at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
They're driving into the site.
Yes.
Up the hill, empty, driving into the site.
Into the site, yes.
Okay, but as far as full ones leaving the site, you didn't
I
see any?
have not seen that, no.
Neither did I.
Okay.
So anyway, that's what we did in our traffic impact and access memorandum. Then the question in the town's review comment was raised, why didn't you analyze other intersections? And the bottom line is the trip generation is sufficiently low that we normally would not analyze other intersections. The Institute of Transportation Engineers has a guideline. If you have 100 trips in or out, whichever direction's busier, during the peak hour, that's when you start looking at formal analysis of traffic impacts. And the biggest number we have is 17, and that's total of in and out. And those numbers are split by direction, although most of them are going to and from the 495 direction. So we fell below the threshold where, regardless of whether the other roads are at a good level of service or at a bad level of service, the impact of this particular project is too small to call for an analysis, regardless of what the level of service is without the project. So that's why we left the analysis at the front door. Then as far as trucks turning left and going up the hill once they're full, we thought about that as well, and we put that in a response to comments memorandum that we issued yesterday, today. If you look at the concept of 4 trucks can be filled in an hour, that means 4 full trucks leaving the site is kind of a realistic number if the place is busy. If 80% of them are going toward 495, then we might be looking at 1 turning left and going up the hill during a busy hour. Then the next question is, what would that truck's performance be going up the hill? First of all, when you leave the site, there's a fairly level area, I think for the first couple of 100 feet, either no grade or minor grade, and then the grade increases up to 6%, and then around 1,500 feet out, it really starts to crest. We estimated from looking at the appropriate graphic published by the American Association of State Highway and Transportation Officials that's in the Green Book, that those trucks would be going around 25 miles an hour roughly before they got to the crest, and then after the crest they have an opportunity to increase the speed. Now, the question is that going to be a safety problem or an operational problem? Well, as far as safety goes, the sight distances at the site driveway intersection are adequate. The grades are not excessive. 6% grades are not considered excessive on a highway. The drivers should know the acceleration characteristics of their vehicles and upgrades and judge accordingly. The vehicles themselves are visible. I was behind one actually on the way here yesterday, and it was a good-sized vehicle. And this particular one was a ready-mix vehicle that had the red and white logo on it. I couldn't miss it, even at my now needing glasses age. The volumes are low. So the low volumes minimize the potential for conflicts between the vehicles. And in addition to that, they minimize the operational impact, the impact of operations on East Main Street. Now, then there's a question of interactions between the trucks at the Stone Company and this site. I didn't see any trucks going up the hill loaded from the Stone Company, and I believe the volumes will be very low coming out of this site. But hypothetically, if two trucks did leave at the same time, that would be one disruption happening at once. In other words, the cars wouldn't have to slow down for two trucks. They'd be slowing down for one truck if actually a caravan of two trucks from the two sites at one time. Oh, one last item. As trucks go up the hill, if a vehicle approaching from behind does need to decelerate, they're decelerating an upgrade, which should make the deceleration easier and safer. So I'd be happy to answer any other questions on the traffic.
Okay. Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Can I go through a few things?
Yes, would you go through yours?
Yeah, thank you. So I do have some concerns that the basis of your traffic study was counts that were done by somebody else during the casino process. They were done by Tetra Tech in 2013. And there was quite a lot of discussion during that time, and obviously the casino was proposing much higher numbers in terms of traffic, but the casino also was going to provide a direct access route to 495. So the numbers on Route 16 were not, they weren't going to be providing a lot of additional traffic to Route 16 in comparison to what was going to go directly to 495. So some of those numbers that they generated, though, they were questioned quite frequently and quite loudly by the town. And then the other point was that even though you stated that you shouldn't be responsible for poor level of service downstream of the site, there are issues at the Route 16 and Fortune Boulevard intersection, Route 16 and Route 109, and Beaver Street and 109. And all three of those intersections, the trucks would have to go through them to access 495. And then if they weren't getting on 495 and just continuing down Route 16 in that direction towards Hopedale, then that would also add to congestions at intersections further down Route 16. So I don't think it's fair to say that that's not something that we can't be considering here. I think we should be considering it. Those intersections are also high crash incident intersections. We have safety concerns. The speed limit on East Main Street, where you're proposing to have your entrance, is 45 miles an hour. So a concrete truck pulling out going 10 miles an hour, whether it's one every 15 minutes or, whatever, is still going to slow down the traffic and impede the flow of traffic on that route. With respect to that, one of the things that we looked at during the whole casino process was the impact to the unsignalized intersections. going back up towards the Halston Town line, Whispering Pines, Zane Circle. The people who live on those streets and need to take a left-hand turn getting out, if you have traffic slowing or stopping because of concrete trucks coming out, the people who live on those streets won't be able to get out of their streets. So that's a concern of mine as well. The unsignalized intersections weren't looked at all, and there is, especially from Zane Ridge, there's a significant amount of traffic in and out of that intersection. And that intersection is right between Milford Stone and where you're proposing your entrance. So with the combination of the trucks from Milford Stone and the new proposed trucks, I think that we would have a problem. I have some other comments that are not related to traffic. Do you want me to save
Please
those?
do.
Or go
Yeah,
through them now?
Go
Okay.
through them, yeah.
Okay. The G&H report stated that a perk test was done at the site. I haven't seen that information, so,
I did respond to that. I submitted a response letter to your letter,
okay,
which you should have got. I emailed it to Larry on the 10th, so.
okay.
Basically, a perk test was not done. A deep hole test was done. Perk test, the water table was high, and we're waiting to do the perk test like within the next couple of weeks. We have to wait for the water table.
Okay.
But we did a deep hole. We know the type of soils that are there. I mean, I've been doing it long enough to know that, you know,
Well-
and I did a rough design based on a 20-minute perk rate.
Okay,
So I'm confident that that it's not gonna be an issue once that's actually done.
all right.
But there will be a plan submitted for review by the Board of Health.
So we also know that there's a lot of ledge there too, so
Oh, well,
that-
I
so
dug the
it is a-
deep holes. The
it
deep
is a
holes there were,
concern.
right there, there's no ledge. Right uphill, I don't know what's gonna run it, but but right where the system's going, we got down over 10 feet with the two holes.
Okay. So we still need to see that information. The March 30th letter said the plant is equipped, so I had concerns about dust. You said the plant is equipped with interior dust controls. That wasn't my concern, it was the exterior dust controls. There was a suggestion to install sprinklers around the bays where the material will be stored. If needed, I think that should be a requirement.
And here again, I do have a response to all those. There is a new letter that says, and I do have information that shows the document being revised there's a new section with it, and there's a yellow line through it. I did add that. I added that would be sprinkled, and also with the operation maintenance plan, I added that to the.
Okay, my concern was the language that I had seen, and maybe it's
Yeah,
gone now.
and I changed it. I changed it to say
Okay.
they would be installed, sprinklers for both the mounds and the areas of gravel that would not be paved. I added that language.
Did you add language to the O&M plan about using water for dust
Yep.
suppression?
Yep.
Okay. I like the stone-lined construction style entrance to help catch some of the dust off the trucks as it's going out.
And I don't know where I don't believe I ever proposed a stone line entrance other than during the
So
construction process.
that's just for during construction?
That's just for during construction. The rest is gonna be pavement. I mean, you know, you're dealing with fully loaded trucks with concrete. You need to have something that's.
Okay,
have
so
it
then
support that.
I would agree with Babe's suggestion to have the trucks washed.
Yep.
We did resolve the issue of you switched out the Bay Saver units for downstream Defender.
Defender.
That will definitely do a better job. And in the stormwater report, I did see your revised TSS removal worksheets. There was a initial removal of 10% for,
I eliminated that. That was gonna be for parking lot sweeping, but,
okay.
you know, I don't need to do it. It's just something that we kinda just use it, but it
So you
meets the
still get
TSS
the
removal without
80%
it.
without that? Okay.
88% without it, yes.
Okay. In all locations? You had more than one TSS removal worksheet, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, but you can do an
So you're saying
aggregate. It's 78%.
composite for the site?
It's
Okay.
78%, and then 89%. But the composite for the site is 88%. Because there's only a tenth of an acre that goes to the one that treats 78%, and the remainder of the site goes to the one that treats 89%.
All right. I may want to look at that again, because this does discharge pretty much directly to the wetland across the street, so,
Well, it goes into a catch basin system first with a sump, and it's like a triple catch basin there.
right, I know, but if you're not achieving that 80%, I want to see how much of that is, what percentage of the total flow that would be from the site. And then I asked for a cross-section of the driveway access road.
I added that to the plans.
Okay. My concern, just to make sure that you understand why I brought that up, the Milford Stone site typically during heavy rain, but it's especially a problem in the winter when it freezes. They just drain straight into Route 16 and it runs down the street. And in the winter or the cold weather, it turns into ice and it becomes a hazard. So I don't want to see that
No,
happening from this
I
site.
regraded the driveway to make sure there was a crown, and I gave you a detail showing the crown of the road.
Perfect.
And also, I added a pavement detail for heavy-duty pavement, which wasn't on the plan previously,
you.
so.
Anyone else? Okay, at this time, I'm going to opening the meeting to one person that would like to come up and speak. Please direct your question right to the chair. Give me your name and your address. Are you the person?
I think it was, yeah.
You want to come right up here and sit down?
I don't remember.
Oh, are there two different groups here?
You can't limit it.
You can't just limit to one person.
You can't, okay.
You can't limit it.
All right,
He's first, yeah,
okay,
you're all set.
all right, I didn't know that. All right, would you state that, okay. State your name and where you live, please?
Thank you. My name is Jeff Howard. I live at 23 Zane Circle, and I'm here representing the residents of Zane Circle in this matter. Appreciate the opportunity to talk. Sure that there'll be a lot of consideration that needs to be given, but a few issues that we are particularly concerned about. There was some discussion of the traffic. We haven't seen the traffic study, even though it sounds like it's been out since the middle of June. So we look forward to having a chance to review that, but was a little bit confused by some of the numbers in terms of, sounds like the focus is on the loaded trucks, the concrete trucks coming in, being loaded and exiting. Obviously, aside from the workers coming in to get to work and leave work in the day, obviously, there's going to be a large amount of material that's going to be loaded on that site. And if it was somewhere in those numbers, I was not able to discern, what the total truck traffic is going to be, during those particular, times of day, and what the total impact is going to be. The other thing that was a little bit surprising to us is, based upon correspondence we've had as recently as yesterday and this morning with Chief O'Laughlin, Chief Toohey, and Superintendent Tremblay, none of them have been contacted in any way, shape, or form about this project, about the implications on traffic, on safety measures, anything of the sort. So we found a little bit surprising that the applicant is coming with a full traffic study upon which to try and get some approvals without consulting some of the major leadership within the town in terms of people that have specific concerns in those areas.
Could I respond to that before we?
I'm sorry, Larry?
Could I respond
I
to
know the
that?
fire department's been notified.
The
The
fire
fire department's informed.
Been
the
notified.
fire department's been
They
notified.
Issued a report to the planning board. The police chief isn't notified of site plan reviews, it's out of his jurisdiction. The school department has nothing to do with site plan review either, so they're not notified, they're not included in a review. So,
I'm sorry, that is a site plan, never a traffic issue.
Your name, please?
Ron Arpino from Zane Circle. That was done, the fire department was there on the site only, not the traffic, not the impeding of
That's
safety
right.
equipment.
that's right, I'm just stating. that-
Yes, I'm just saying, that sounded like they were there and they knew, but that's not the case.
Yeah. We have an email from Chief Toohey this morning saying that he has not been contacted at all regarding this and has had no input
Well, they
whatsoever.
have.
Well, that's not exactly true.
That's not true.
That's not.
Okay, I can show you the email.
We have a letter here
Maybe there's a
from him.
I can
misunderstanding
see,
in terms of.
I have their letter.
But that's just for the site.
No, I apologize.
Yes,
I'm
yes, but if
just-
the chief had a concern about that, he knows
He would have
about what is
notified
being
us.
put in.
The site is different than the traffic issue.
Ron,
No, it's
Ron,
not.
One person, please.
I'm the
Excuse me.
representative, so if you'll allow me. Okay.
One
So apparently
person, one person.
misunderstanding on our part in terms of the intent. That is what it says in an email that came to us from Chief Tui. Obviously, there's another mechanism in place, so the fire department feels that.
The deputy chief reviewed it, so I don't know if Chief Tui saw it or not. The deputy chief reviewed it. I have a letter March 26th.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Duncan. It's, like I said, it's obviously a misunderstanding on our part in terms of, who's involved in the process, but still, the concerns remain, and Superintendent Trembley's, comments were, impact on school buses because of the early morning rush hour traffic and things of that nature. So, but again, so the, another matter is really just the aesthetics. Personally, I'm not averse to the idea of a mixing plant, but, the aesthetics right on 16, the town has spent millions of dollars to put in the Milford Trail, a very beautiful spot, and now we're gonna take and superimpose a concrete batch plant, as a backdrop to our beautiful trail. And if I may step up for just a moment.
Sure, please do.
These photographs were taken recently at the concrete batch plant in Mendon and in Bellingham. And if you look and you can see the state of the condition of these different facilities, town officials in those towns were promised by the developers, by the operators of those plants, that they would be maintained in pristine condition, and you wouldn't have the kind of eyesores that you're seeing here. Maybe that's okay, tucked in a back lot off in the woods, but I don't think that's what we want as one of the hallmarks of, people's approach to Milford. The other thing, in terms of, in terms of location, and forgive the quality, but this represents the proposed site. I've got a circle that's 1,000 feet out and a circle that's 1,500 feet out from this location. There's many studies that have been published by, noted medical facilities, environmental organizations on a global basis, and they talk consistently about the health impact of breathing,
Yes.
dust, carcinogens, very well documented. Several studies talk about very high risk for respiratory issues, especially with children and the elderly, within a 1 kilometer radius, okay? We're looking at 1,015 feet, nowhere near 1 kilometer out. And we see Zane Ridge, right now, there are 28 young children in that neighborhood. Virginia Drive area, don't know how many there are, but it's a much larger area than we have. And we have 2 childcare centers with outdoor play areas, one 1,000 feet away that has 120 children, and one 1,500 feet away that has 75 children. Okay, so I'm just suggesting, in spite of the dust mitigation efforts, we've all heard those kind of things before. Things break down, things are not maintained as well as they have, and I would suggest that this is just not the appropriate location to be imposing those kind of risks on the town, and especially on the young populations in our town. So, certainly look forward to hearing more about this process as it goes. We also still have concerns about the water. The applicant has said that he's been satisfied with the water, yet the town still remains on a water ban on practically a year-round basis. We went through these issues with the casino. I'm sure they can come up with water, but 10,000 gallons a day at whose expense? So those are just some of the concerns that we like to bring to the attention of the board, for your consideration as this process.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Is there anyone else that would like to speak to Bob or anyone?
There's some hands down here.
Oh, where are you? Oh, there you are, okay.
Stand up.
Your name, come right down. Yep.
Peter Scandoni.
Your name and your address, please, through the chair.
Peter Scandoni, Precinct 5, 57 Whitewood.
Whitewood.
Want to thank the board for allowing me to speak for a few minutes, and this is going to be very brief. I'm here on behalf of the Citizens for Milford organization, and our group is, we're very concerned about the overall impact this proposal could have in our town. We have many of the same concerns that Zane neighborhood friends have here. And 3 main points: if this should go forward, of course, is the noise. We think there should be barriers of some sort, the environmental impact, and, of course, traffic. When this study concludes that it will not have a significant impact on traffic, I personally have some concerns. So my group will be watching and listening, and at this point, we have faith that our town leaders will take the appropriate measures. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Bob, you all set?
I don't see a hand.
Okay, so, these plants, the operation of these plants are regulated. There are all kinds of EPA guidelines for emissions and dust control and noise control that they have to adhere to, and they will have to adhere to that. It's, and to put up buildings of plants that have probably been there for 50 years and show that they don't look pretty is, obviously, yeah, it happens because these plants, and one of them's not even operational. The Rosenfeld plant isn't even operational anymore, so, there's certain responsibilities to people who operate these plants, obviously, and, they would hope that they would maintain them. Here again, like I say, the traffic issues, well, may have to address a little bit more with Bonnie on some of these things, but it seems like a silly thing to say, but in one aspect, a slow-moving truck entering this lane in the morning is actually going to make it easier for people in Zane Ridge to pull out of there. They're going to get a break. At some point, there's actually going to be a break. I'm just saying it is actually true.
Excuse me.
It does create a break. It does create an opening in the traffic because it does happen. I mean, I'm not necessarily saying.
Behind that, though, don't forget, that's gonna be a blockage.
Yeah, but I mean, at some point, there's going to be an opening for people to
Slow-moving truck
leave.
with a bunch of cars, that's a train.
But there'll be a space in front of it.
What he's contending is, if a car's coming down at 50, which is probably the average speed coming down there.
Right.
Regardless of what the speed
Because
limit
it's
is, average
45,
speed
they're going more.
is
You're
at least
correct.
50.
Right.
And a truck that pulls out and is probably going 5, makes the car virtually come to a complete stop. What Bob's contending is, eventually, the cars in front of Zane Ridge is what he's contending is, they're virtually stopped. So they're gonna be polite and let somebody out is what his contention is. That's his contention. Again, that's,
Well, no, not necessarily. What I'm saying is, I'm saying that there'll be
Bob,
no
I still think
cars,
we have a
there'll actually be
fundamental
no
problem with-
traffic in front of the truck until it gets to Zane Ridge. So there'll be a gap in which there'll be no traffic on 16 going by.
I hear what you're saying, but again, I still think coming out of that, heading towards 495, at a rate of speed of 50, and a slow-moving truck is gonna become an issue.
Yeah, but it's going towards 495 is not, it's not gonna
They
take them
don't
that
slow down
long.
till they
It's
hit the
not gonna
light
take them
bulb.
that long to get up to speed, because it's not
Leaving
climbing
the
the hill.
site, heading to 495.
Right.
They don't stop until they come upon the light.
Yes, but they're not climbing the hill so they can get
It's
up
not
to
the-
speed quicker.
When you come out of the site, Bob, you have to stop. You have to stop in order to get into Route 16, regardless if you're going right or left. You have to stop. They're not gonna just come flying out.
No, I
So
understand
when he
that.
comes out,
Yeah, he's gonna be at a dead stop, but he's
5,
not gonna be.
6, 7 miles an hour until he
climbing a
probably hits
6%
around the
grade.
bridge, the overpass, and then maybe he's at 15. The cars coming down the hill at 50 are not gonna be prepared for a slow-moving truck because there hasn't been one before. I hear what you're saying, but
But they do have there's plenty of sight distance, and they should be able to see it.
there's a lot of ifs and buts.
No, but unfortunately, that's what these studies are. I mean, we either,
no.
just throw all studies out and say, well, yeah, no, we
I'm
don't
not-
believe them, or, or they are what they are.
I'm not suggesting that your study came out of a vacuum. That's not what I'm simply saying, but I believe that they have some sort of, their contention is not far from off, is all I'm saying.
Well, there could be some other, somebody could come in here with an office park. Build an office building here, 4-story office building with 200 employees, and create traffic of 1,000 trips a day.
There's votes here to say no.
Bob, I can only deal
I'm
with
just
what's in
saying, there's
front of me. I
always gonna
can't-
be,
I
right, I'm
can't
just
deal
saying,
with the
people,
potential of-
nobody ever wants anything that's gonna change
That's not
their neighborhoods.
Well, first off, you're being unreasonable and unfair to me because that's not what I'm saying at all.
No, I know, I'm not
So-
saying it to you, I'm just
But you
saying
just
it in
did.
general,
Okay.
All right, so- So we're all set, Bob? Is there anything else, or anyone else?
And
1 second.
All right, I'll let you go. No, no, Mike, just as a
Did you
traffic
want to
itself, we
say,
wanted
did you want to
finalize.
speak? Did you want to say something? Do you want to come up here and speak, please?
I'm assuming so,
Want to give us your name and where you live?
Yeah, I'm Teresa Benincasa, and I live at 17 Zane Circle. Go
You
ahead.
just spell your last name, because I know we are not gonna come close. And I apologize, I
Sure.
just,
It's B as in boy, E-N-I-N-C-A-S-A. Teresa.
Teresa, okay. What's your concern?
I actually have one question I just wanted to ask also the board. Is there a way for us to request to change the zoning of this property in any way? And how would we go about requesting that?
It would be useless to this, this has already been put in with the existing zoning. You can request that, but that wouldn't stop this from happening, it's already been
So
put in
it
as part of the
won't
zoning.
stop this, but if in any case, and I'm hoping that this doesn't go through, if this didn't pass for future locations, is there a process that we can follow to request a change to the zoning of this property, given that it's so close now to all these residential areas? That it might not be,
Yeah, there is a way of changing the zoning, I don't know how successful you'd be, but there is a way of changing the zoning.
Right.
and so we would request that to this board? Or how could we find?
You'd have to do it yourself, I don't think this board is at this, I don't wanna speak for the board. I don't think that this board right now is looking for a change, you could put that in, but I think it would be more of a petition that you as town people in Milford can put in.
Right, so
you
us
can
as
do it
townspeople
yourself.
can
Right.
put in a petition to
Yes,
change
you
the
can.
Yes, it'll be
zoning,
very
to
difficult,
change
because
the
one, you
zoning.
don't own the property, so you're asking for someone else to change their property, which is not an easy road to hoe.
Right.
It can be
Right,
done.
but it's possible, okay. And then the other concern, the other thing I wanted to offer to the board is that we actually have various studies that link medical issues with residents around the area, as Jeff suggested. And maybe you guys would like to take a look at some of these studies so you can see for yourself that some of these plants have been following regulations, and there's still a link, because there's no way to control the dust completely externally. It's just not gonna happen. So, you know, it's a concern to us and me as a mother, that, you know, we would be even talking about this. And so I'd like to offer the board those studies. I don't know if
That would be fine.
we
You
could
drop
send them
off.
to you, okay?
Yep. You can send them through Larry, our town planner.
Through
Do
Larry.
you have them on an email, or do
Yeah.
you want to drop them off? One
Okay.
way or the other, yeah,
Okay.
that would be fine.
And then the other concern, I don't know if I heard it or not, was my concern is the environmental concern to the wetlands. I know that you had brought up, you know, how much, you wanted to know how much, but I think, you know, we have healthy, you know, animal populations within those wetlands. We walk many times in the path back there. There's beavers, there's birds, there's ducks. And so I'd be concerned that, you know, we make sure that those are being protected.
Okay. Thank you so much. All right. We're all set. Anyone else? You have one question.
One quick question. On the study of the traffic, all I heard was what the trucks are gonna be. I didn't hear anybody saying they did a traffic study of what the flow is actually now. I heard somebody say they were there for 1 hour in one day. I never saw a counter on the road. I never saw anybody keeping track of the traffic, which we can't get out of Zane now with the amount of traffic that's there. Unless a truck comes by and lets us go. But we can't get out of that area now. Getting in and out of there is horrendous because of people flying around the corner. If you add that, what was the study done to say how much traffic is there now and how much volume can that road hold?
Okay, thank you.
Just to put a point on that, because we're going down this path, and I wanna make sure people, what you need to understand is if that's your biggest worry, then you're gonna have a tough time, at least I think, I have a tough time believing, because this usage, compared to what other usages could be at this, will produce much less traffic, and to effectively tell somebody they can't develop their thing because there's too much existing traffic now is very difficult to
Different
do.
thing with trucks versus cars. You can have an office complex up there, and that's fine. When no one's saying that we don't want an office complex up there. We can support cars going back and forth. It's the trucks that pull out, like everybody already just said, you put a truck out there going up that hill, you're now stopping all the traffic behind it, including school buses that have schedules to try to meet. You're talking about emergency equipment.
I was the one that
trying to
asked for that to be looked at as part of this, and I've also looked at the traffic report, and there were some areas, and Bonnie mentioned them, and they probably need to be addressed, but based on the numbers that were there, that I don't know that issue based on the traffic that's there, is something that you're gonna be able to hang your hat on, that's all I'm saying.
I think that with the traffic, also the safety issue, that when we're pulling out of Zing Circle and turning left, we have to speed out of there. I mean, we have to speed up pretty quickly. So if there are cars pulling out of, in order not to be hit, so if there are trucks pulling out of the concrete plant, they're not gonna be pulling out as fast as the car will pull out, which I think has been brought up many times. So if the traffic is coming out, I mean, I think that's a big
What's this
safety
date say,
issue.
Route 16?
You have to speed up pretty quickly.
Okay,
The,
thank you.
can I just say one thing?
Sure.
Do you know what the state calculates Route 16's capacity at?
No, I do not know.
Because back in 13, the average calculation was 15 to 16,000 cars in both directions. Being that it's a state road, I'm assuming that the calculation from the state is probably achieving that road can handle over 20 is what I'm assuming, but I don't know the actual number.
16 sounds like the number they used during the casino,
It did, back in 13,
Yeah,
15,
yeah.
16, in both directions.
but I don't know what it would be now.
And then you don't recall what the state,
You can, there was.
I don't know what the
traffic-
capacity was.
There was a traffic study to verify, based on Lonnie's concerns about the usage of the casino numbers. You can go back before then and go
Yeah.
back to the site further up, and the traffic numbers were there, and take a look at those traffic numbers and see how those compare to the casino numbers, and use those numbers for traffic on East Main Street. I don't know that you necessarily need to redo traffic.
No,
counts.
you don't.
I think between the two of those, if you use both of those traffic studies, you can get a pretty good idea what the traffic is on East Main Street.
Okay.
If I could just add too, which I didn't say, is that we have submitted these plans to Mass Highway for their
Okay.
their comments on the application to access the state highway, so that there will be comments from them as well.
Yeah, we are gonna continue it. One more, yes.
I just want to agree with that gentleman in the corner there. Traffic really needs to be the least of our concerns. It's the impact on the environment and the health of its citizens. And I'm just gonna say that right now. We don't want a toxic plant in the middle of women and children.
Name and address.
We do not want it.
okay.
Thank you.
Ma'am, may I have your, just for the record, may I have your name and address, please?
Diane Gogan, 87 Zane.
Thank you.
Okay. All right.
So we understand that we have to get a better, address the wall situation.
Yes, you do.
For Joe's appeasal, and the traffic consultant may want to make an appointment with Vonnie to go over certain things. So we would just ask for you to, continuation of the plan,
Okay.
hearing till August 11th.
Okay, all right.
You
Do
have
you have a motion on that? John?
Yeah, I'll make a motion, we continue to, we had 2 meetings in
August
August?
11th, no,
August
just
11th.
August 11th.
Okay. Do I hear a second? Second. Continue the meeting until August 11th. Motion made by John, seconded by Joe. All in favor? Unanimous. So the meeting will be continued. There are things that they have to do, the engineers that get together, and that's a good thing. Okay. Thank you so much for attending. Good night. Yeah, you too.
thank you.
Stay cool.
To look at the other intersections.
I know.
Hi, Marie. Hi, Barbara.
Madam Chairman, for the record, I will be recusing
Okay.
myself on the next
All
next
right.
agenda
All
item,
right.
item
We're
number
on
6.
item 6. Let me get rid of item 5 here.
I'll remain in my seat.
Okay.
Put it under. Boston Sanders in the middle of 600.
Do you want me to read through it?
Okay, let's see where we are. Let's go down the trail here.
Number 6?
Just 1 second, Larry. Number 6, amended site plan, 13 Commercial Way, Milford Medicals. Okay, dear Madam Chairman, the applicant requests amended site plan approval to authorize,
Please, thank you.
I don't know if you meet the warrant.
authorize the construction of additional
I think I took it.
73 off-street parking spaces on the subject property. You will recall that the zoning board of appeals granted the necessary variance and special permit for the proposed use in 2013. The Medicals now occupies the existing building, having made internal alterations only. The only external alteration has been the addition of secure fencing. The applicant all applicable zoning requirements appear to be met. Therefore, I recommend the amended site plan be approved, subject of the relevant comments by Larry Duncan. Okay, Bonnie, you're next.
Okay.
Before we start, I just want to introduce to the board a new engineer in our company.
Oh.
This is Mike Hassett.
Oh, hi, Mike, welcome.
So Mike was
How you doing?
break Mike in tonight, so.
Okay, this is go easy.
Really, you're finally gonna break them in?
So go easy.
Yeah, so I don't have to keep coming out for these things all the time.
Okay, Mike.
And you picked this meeting of all meetings to do that.
I figured you get a good idea of what's gonna happen.
All right, Bonnie, your
You want me to go
comments?
through my letter?
If you could go through your letter.
The original drainage report that was submitted with the application I have, and I realize, Bob, that you have submitted supplemental.
Mike did everything, so he's
Okay,
well
Mike,
versed
you've
on
submitted
everything, so we don't-
supplemental information, but
Sure.
I did not have a chance to review it before tonight. I believe it was delivered yesterday. So the original drainage report was done in 2003, and it was for the subdivision of a larger parcel that included number 12 and I think it's number 14 on either side.
23, 24, and 25.
Well, the parcel numbers, yeah.
Yeah, it was actually, it was like a 3-lot subdivision, but we didn't know what was gonna be constructed. So at the time, we assumed 72% impervious and designed the stormwater basin to be able to collect, the impervious for those 3 lots developed in 72%.
And if I understand correctly, the other 2 lots have been developed. And this will be the third one that will be developed.
It's all,
It's already developed. The only
Well,
thing
it is-
we're
yeah, it's
proposing
got-
today is the additional parking.
Parking.
Exactly. Sorry, excuse me, yep. So, some of the references to the original drainage report, I found a little bit confusing. The application states that this change is a 1% increase in impervious area. I believe that's true if you take the whole subdivision, but if you just look at this site, that additional parking is more than 1% of the lot size.
That was, it was regarding the entire subdivision. In the response to your letter, I provided a table. And that table shows all the changes, both existing conditions for all 3 lots, and then the proposed changes to this lot, and also the drainage subcatchment that was done during the design. And none of them approach the 72% design criteria.
Okay, so in your current numbers that you're presenting, you are still considering those other 2 lots in all of that, okay?
I got this, okay.
The expansion of the parking area is very, very close to the edge of what's defined as the edge of the wetland buffer zone. I think that should be checked prior to construction and then clearly marked during construction so that, and make sure the contractor is aware that they're not to cross that line.
And I did add language to the plan, a note
Okay,
stating that the wetland buffer zone is to be staked out prior to beginning of construction and erosion control placed along the buffer to ensure that no contamination gets down into the buffer zone.
so I would like a little more time actually to review the supplemental information that
Okay.
was just provided to me.
Okay, that'd be good.
Okay. So as was mentioned, this lot has already been developed. It's on Commercial Way, 13 Commercial Way. Beaver Street runs along the back, but it does not have any access from that road. It's off of Industrial Road. So we're proposing additional parking, so new pavement in this area highlighted in red in the handouts you were given. And then also the existing parking lot will be restriped. The yellow is regular spaces and the blue hatched is the proposed handicap spaces. Existing building, there's no new structures. And there's no new drainage. The existing Existing drainage system will handle any new pavement, it's all directed to existing catch basins, that she wants to look more at. The Milford Disability Commission had some comments regarding the number of handicap spaces. We added the additional handicap spaces, added more details to address those concerns. The spaces are dimensioned. As I said before, some of Barney's concerns, details for the erosion control, Cape Cod berm, have all been added to the plan.
Is there are 2 signs at the driveway entrance, right?
Those are existing.
Okay, okay.
Excuse me. You all set, Bonnie? Yeah? Did the board have any comments? Joe?
Yeah, I had one other than Bonnie's concerns, you just need to be ironed out with the drainage, it sounds like they're okay. I'm just looking at the parking as you come into the site, the 10 spaces and the 4 spaces on the other side.
He's here?
Yeah, and to try to direct traffic, I'm thinking that those should be island off or whatever, because I just see that the way it's designed as being somewhat of a free-for-all of people coming in. There's nothing to direct them to go around the building or not. Yes, I was looking at perhaps 2 triangles at the 2 corners, and then between the 4 and the 10, running a 2-foot island in between there, so the cars can't come straight through. They'd have to go around, so it would define that area. I don't know if the drainage works exactly that way. If you can, if you can do that, maybe you'd end up having to do a 2-foot island and put a 1-foot break in it so that you continue your drainage path in the middle of that or whatever. But I just see people coming straight in and just going straight into the site, and I'd like to direct them to one side or the other.
The only concern I would have with that is if by moving these spaces out to accommodate that island, you would impede the travel lanes.
I wouldn't worry about moving those spaces at all, because the overhang with the size spacing that we have with the car overhang, effectively that becomes a wheel stop at that distance, so that your cars would be overhanging the 2 feet. They could go all the way to the end. So I'm not looking for you to change the length of those spaces. I'm saying put an island in that's 2 feet, taking 1 foot from the side of each in order to get those to go in. Yeah, as that gets pushed out, it would make that turn much more difficult, but I don't want to move the back end out any. I'm just trying to use that to differentiate. You could even make it a 1-foot island if you wanted to. It would take 6 inches from both sides because the overhang would work, but I think you're actually safer with the cars pulling in, having it being slightly bigger, because one car won't extend back into the other side as much, so. I'm happy with either way, but I just want to see something so that people can't come straight into the site and drive straight through. That's all I'm saying. Other than that, I didn't have any other comments. And the islands on the 2 ends, just again to force people to where the traffic flow is on those 2 sides.
I'm just curious as to why you need so much parking. If this is a place to pick stuff up and leave, I mean, you got enough to have a ball game in here.
Well,
You got a ton of parking.
would you like me to answer that one?
Please.
So
Yes.
my name is Mike Dundas, I'm the CEO of the company. The reason that we're adding parking here is because we realized that with the existing 17 spaces out front, we wouldn't be able to accommodate our employees primarily. So we may have anywhere from 25 to 40 employees once the facility is fully up and running after 18 to 24
At any one
months.
time?
At any one time could be 25, yes. And so we wanted to accommodate the employee parking on the site as opposed to requiring employees to park off-site. That's the primary reason for the increase.
Thank you.
Babe, do you have a comment? Do I hear a motion? Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
And forgive me if I don't ask the question correct.
Do you want to come up here?
Oh, thank
This
you.
is the gentleman for the handicap.
Disability. How are you
Commissioner,
doing? I'm Harold Rhodes, Chairman of the Commission on Disability. I'm just still confused on the total number of parking spots altogether now after revision.
We have 92 proposed spaces total, with 6 handicap spaces, 4 of which are handicap accessible. I believe in your letter, in response to the project, you had asked for
Handicap van accessible.
6 spaces with 2 being van accessible.
And so, what is it now that you're going to have in terms of handicap accessibility for vans as well as parking?
We have, these blue spaces are all handicap spaces. There are 3 spaces on either side of the entrance, with an access aisle in between 2 spaces on each side. So you'll have 4 handicap accessible spaces that are van accessible and 2 that are just regular handicap spaces.
So 4 and 2, and the total number of persons that could be on site at any one time could exceed 50?
I think that would be best answer.
But 25 of those are workers.
Yes, I
Yes,
understand
yeah.
that. In general, the comments that the commission's going to make going forward is to request the developers to sincerely consider adding more than what is required in terms of handicap accessibility parking. By all of our studies here in Milford alone, our aged population is well over 3,000. The growth in the aged population is substantive, and the growth in the number of persons with disability is substantive. And we may be different than another community that the ADA numbers might be well intended for, but here in Milford, I'm in general, you'll hear me make this comment repeatedly. I appreciate that you've gone to 4 and 2. I would just ask again for your consideration. I mean, you're meeting the specification of both 521 CMR and ADA.
Right.
That's good. But if you would just consider additionally more spots, especially given the clientele
Sure.
that may be likely to be at your specific facility.
Sure.
Moving on to another topic, do you have, are there any sidewalks?
There are no sidewalks, either on Commercial Way or on the property.
Anywhere near.
Anywhere near? And can you just describe the entrance to the building?
Flush.
Flush, yep.
Flush.
So just so I understand, no.
I work next door, that's the only reason why I know.
You won't have to hop up.
And could you just describe what you're going to be doing for door opening?
We will have a 48-inch door opening, both for entrance and for exit. For our particular use, we're required to take special security precautions in the front of the building. And so we are adapting all of the security measures that we need to take from DPH regulations to conform to 48-inch doorways.
And I appreciate very much the 48-inch doors, and I appreciate that the size of the doors is not consistent with actually site planning.
Right.
But it gives me an opportunity just to talk about it here. Again, in the same spirit, you'll hear the commission, again, request larger doors to, again, accommodate persons with handicap and accessibility.
Well, if I
Thank
could
you.
request, you should put that in your report.
It's in,
It's in there.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay,
Doorway size is building code. I mean, we don't,
right,
No,
well, it doesn't deal with it.
yeah, right. All right,
So if we're gonna continue this so they can make the changes, as
Right.
opposed to approving it subject to the changes, then they're gonna need to grant an extension because the 65 days will have run out from June 6th when they submitted it.
okay. What's your recommendation?
I don't have a problem recommending it subject to the changes. I mean, I don't
Okay,
think
do
there's
you want to
anything
make that a
substantial.
motion, Joe?
Yeah, that's fine. Make a motion that we approve the site plan subject to Bonnie's comments and my comments about the island.
I'll second it.
Motion made by Joe, second by John. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous of 4, 1 abstention.
And then once it's done, they can bring the Mylar in
Right,
and all give you a
right,
call.
that's right, yeah, as long as you do
Right?
check with Bonnie, I think Bonnie wants
I
to.
wasted a
Yeah, I
sheet.
just want to make sure
Bonnie wants
everything
to
is
make sure.
addressed.
Yeah, Thank you.
Make a note, Pat's back at the meeting.
Huh? Oh, and Pat is now back at the meeting. All right, we're on number 7.
Where are my bedtime?
Amended site plan, 113 Water Street, Hill Office Park. Dear Madam Chairman, the applicant requests amended site plan approval to authorize a 858 square foot addition to the existing office building numbered 113 Water Street on the subject property. The proposal is to construct a one-story addition to the existing two-story structure. A total of 193 off-street parking spaces are required for the aggregate of uses within the office park. The northerly parking area will be restriped, and a planter island will be provided within the parking field to increase the stormwater recharge. In addition, a raised concrete curb will be installed along the parking space adjacent to the building number 117 Water Street. This will prevent packed vehicles overhang into the main entry drive. All other applicant zoning requirements appear to be met, therefore I recommend the site plan be approved to subject of the department comments. Town planner, Larry Duncan. Dear Ms. McCarthy, I have reviewed the site plan administration of 113 Water Street. The project is for the additional existing building and parking improvements. I have no comment. Our town engineer, Bonnie Reese.
Everybody's okay.
Highway surveyor finds it satisfactory. The fire department finds it satisfactory. The water department. And the building inspector has no comment. Finds it satisfactory. Who's Harold?
Just let him go.
Thanks. Okay, we're good. Your name?
Mark Allen, with Allen Engineering, here representing Larry Hill Corporations. And we are proposing, as indicated in the opening, to put a one-story addition off of the building, an existing building at 113 Water Street. It's part of the three-building office park, 113, 115, 117. Each of those three buildings are two-story structures at this point. What we're proposing to do is basically just fill in this corner of the building at a one-story elevation for the oral surgeon, I believe, who's presently in the space today. So he's expanding his oral surgery use into that location. Upon investigation of the entire property for zoning conformance, we just wanted to make sure that they had adequate parking. It came to our attention that based on the schedule of uses inside all these three buildings, that they came up a few spaces shy. We met with Larry a few weeks back, and we realized that there was some a little bit of extra fluff room in some of the parking areas that we're just gonna remove and restripe.
Okay.
So we're gonna gain about an extra 8 spots here, which will comply with the current zoning regulations for parking. There'll be no need to add additional parking, it's just a matter of restriping that area. And Larry actually also mentioned that we're gonna widen out this area because there's extra aisle width in this location. We're gonna add a planting area in here, and we're gonna add another 18 inches to the existing curb in this location, and we do have adequate
That's a good idea.
turning as well. Because right now, there's a curb, and Larry mentioned, you know, the
People
curb with the
extend over the curb
overhang.
and go into, and overhang into that roadway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So now that you'll have that 2-foot curb stop, you'll prevent that overhang
Great.
in the main access aisle.
That looks good to me.
Okay,
Pretty much it in a nutshell.
okay, cool.
I'll make a
Good.
motion.
Motion made by Pat, second by Babe. Babe, do you have a
No.
question?
I'll second it.
Not that one, I just.
Yeah, I'll second it.
Are you gonna second it, Joe?
Yeah.
All in favor? Unanimous of 4. 5, sorry.
You
You're all
interrupt.
set, I'm in, you're in, okay. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
All right, going
Bob,
right
where'd your
along.
protege go?
I know, he just.
He left.
What happened to him?
Water bottle and everything, he just wanted to get out.
All right, let's see, number 8, amended site plan, 159 South Main Street.
What was his first name again, Bob?
Mike.
That's the Massachusetts Correctional Office Holdings LLC. Dear Madam Chairman, the applicant requests amended site plan approval to authorize a change of use in the subject property. The proposal is to convert approximately 6,000 square feet of former office space to an assembly hall conference area. No addition to the existing buildings are being proposed. A total of 114 off-street parking spaces are required for the aggregate to proposed uses within the building, even though the majority of the necessary off-street parking is actually located in Hopedale. The total of 149 parking spaces currently exist in an overall property. All the applicant's zoning requirements appear to be met, therefore I recommend the amended site plan be approved. Larry Duncan.
All the letters apply.
Larry, can I just ask you a quick generic question on this site?
Yep, thank
Has
you.
the electronic sign
Good question.
come into compliance? Just curious.
Well, this predated our changed copy. This is the reason we have a changeable copy.
So it's in
electric panel.
compliance then?
No.
Doesn't need to be.
This is the reason we adopted the zoning amendment.
I
to
believe it may
regulate.
be.
It's in compliance 'cause it's
I believe it may be
grandfathered.
in compliance. It
Because it's
may-
grandfathered.
No, I believe it may actually be in compliance because they felt like it, but they don't need to.
Right, yeah. And there was a
They don't
So it's a
have to do it.
compliant sign?
There was a brightness issue too. I don't know whether it is or not. I can't tell you.
I believe the type doesn't change. It's close to what we
As-
require, but I
So it's
don't know.
compliant, that's all I was asking. I'm not trying to, I'm just trying to get a sense for it.
Almost unions didn't bring us weekends, Henry Ford did.
All right. Thank you.
The one that isn't in compliance is McDonald's.
Well, we'll get to
That's
that
the one
after.
that's not in compliance.
Well,
Yeah,
that
and they
one
should
has to
also
be.
change,
Yes, and that one has to
they have,
Okay.
as you're coming up Beaver Street, just says that, not to get sidetracked, but since you brought it up, where it says entrance, it's two-face, so when you're coming off of 495, and if you look and you're not familiar
can
with
go
the
in
entrance,
there.
you think you can come down there, so they ought to block off the second side
Mm-hmm.
of that two-face sign, but, sorry, Bob.
Okay, so the letters, Vonnie
can
has
take
have
care
no
of that in a
comments. Highway Department is satisfactory. Fire Department also is satisfactory. The Water Company also.
You don't have to go through.
And that's a go, Bob.
Okay, this is the old Milford Daily News building. Everybody know. So the area here that they're not proposing any new addition, no work, all the work being proposed is interior in nature. The area that people used to come and pick up their papers in the old, is gonna be converted into somewhat of like a conference/function area for when they have meetings and people, the union gets together and they need to do something.
Right.
And that's pretty much it. We comply with the required parking, we comply with the necessary parking spaces. We've also, one of the additions we've done is we're proposing restriping along this area to provide 5 parking spaces. It's in accordance with the handicap regulations. Actually, 3 of which are gonna be van accessible. Actually, they're all gonna be van accessible now, they've adjusted them. So that, 5 van accessible parking spaces along the building. We've added, we've got a detail of the handicap, we've, shown the sign, and that's pretty much it.
Okay. Do you have any comments from the board?
No.
Pat, the one thing that you can do, I would guess, if you wanted to, was we could ask for that sign to be brought into compliance, at least with the amount of changeable as part of this. The sign is, but they're before us again, so I believe we have the right to do that, correct, Larry?
I'm trying to get a
Yeah, you can-
sense.
I just don't know whether it's in compliance now or not, because I don't go down there often enough to sit there and watch
Yeah,
it.
and what I'm saying is that at least the portion of it that's the changeable message, we could make sure that it's not a free-for-all anymore. It now follows the code, our new regulation.
Yeah,
We
you
could
could make
request
that a
for that as
condition
part of
of
this,
this.
which is
Yeah.
not a cost implication to them. It just means that
Just
they
a
can't change the
computer
sign. Right.
timing.
So I would not have an issue with doing that as part of the approval.
Go ahead, Joe, make the motion.
Make the motion, Joe.
Make a motion, we approve the amended site plan contingent on the changeable message sign being brought into compliance with the with the durations that the messages need to stay on.
Is the Mylar.
Timing.
Second, do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Pat. All in favor? Unanimous.
You.
You're right, wrong.
Long-winded, but I guess that's the way of getting it. Long-winded, but I guess that's the way of
Go
getting
by
it.
there every day and read the. I gotta go.
Imagine.
All right, so number 9, amended site plan 20 Claflin Street Limited Partnership, Blair House. All right.
Gee, Bob, you sure
Madam
you're
Chairman,
familiar
the-
with the process?
The applicant requests amended site plan approval to allow for an expansion of the Blair House nursing home on the subject premises. Also proposed is a revision of the previously approved off-street parking lots to the rear of the property. The zoning board of appeals approved the necessary special permit at their 6/18/15 meeting. The proposed building expansion located near Cena Heller Way will add floor area to the accommodate the conversion of the existing bedrooms in a single bedroom nursing home. There will be no increase in the number of beds. The proposed parking lot improvements will increase the number of off-street parking and improve the drainage and storm water recharge for the lot. The applicant, all applicant zoning requirements be met, therefore I recommend site plan. Says our town engineer.
Bonnie's got the question.
Okay, now Bonnie has the questions.
The others are pretty much okay.
Okay, Bonnie.
I did have questions. I believe they've all been addressed. There's a
Oh,
letter
good.
attached from Bob dated July 10th.
Okay.
Finally, got
Got
one
that
right.
She found that one, Bob. Send it directly to her, not to Larry. You might have better success. I don't know.
Hey,
So all of these are,
If it's addressed to you.
Everything's been addressed.
they're all been addressed.
all been
Very good.
addressed.
All right. Okay, Bob.
Right, so, I mean, we're before you for, recommendation to ZBA for special permit, and obviously what the applicant, this is the existing Blair House nursing home. We had been before you previously for a parking lot with a garage building in this location here. This subsequently, that's changed, so we're back with strictly just a parking lot for employees only, 51 spaces. They have, as part of the development of this, they have blasted and created a ledge face along here, and they're gonna build a retaining wall in front of it. They also did a little bit of blasting in here, so it allowed them to build an additional 5 spaces within this existing 20-space parking area that's here. So now the other proposal is to construct an addition, which is going to be part of the adult daycare as well as nursing home bed facilities for additional beds. Not additional beds, but the relocation of, double rooms to single rooms, so there's gonna be the same number of beds, it's gonna be spread out better, and it's gonna be easier to take care of the people. The building, the way the building is gonna, it's gonna have a sub-basement, which is the extreme exterior that you see here. That sub-basement is gonna have a drop-off area for the vans bringing the people in for the adult daycare. They're gonna be in here, there's gonna be an elevator here, an elevator here. They'll drop off, then they can leave and go back out. At night, at the end of the day, it's sufficient enough to park the vehicles within this area, so they're not out in the street or out in the, in the other parking lots. And the need for additional employee spaces basically is occurred because of the construction of the assisted living facility. There used to be a pretty good-sized gravel lot across the street that the employees used to use for most of the time to park, and now that's all part of the assisted living facility parking. So, we've got, we're adding this particular structure. It's gonna be 4 stories. They're gonna have a sub-basement level and then a lower level, but all the levels are going to be matched up with the existing levels in the existing nursing home, other than the sub-basement level. The roof line is gonna be, the roof height's gonna be the same, and all the utilities, is gonna be through the existing building. It's gonna be masonry block structure with brick, just to meet the existing. There's an existing house here that's gonna be raised. There was an existing house here that's already been raised. And, it's pretty much it. The 98 parking spaces requires 4 handicap. The 4 handicap are already in existence in this area here. There are two van accessible. and 2 regular accessible spaces. And as I say, it's gonna be part of the nursing home facility, it's always gonna be ADA compliant. I mean, they have very strict rules as to how they have to construct everything. With me is Kyle Romano, who's the operator. Oh, Travis here. Geez, what, you guys twins?
They don't look the same.
No, they're twins, I think. So
I've been
one of the
drinking.
Romanos is here that has something to do with this.
Okay.
And then also Jim Boudreau, who is one of the facilities manager, maintenance, whatever. I don't know what he does. He does everything.
Okay.
So if there's any questions regarding the actual facility, the new addition itself, they can answer those.
We only have 2 houses left on that Cena Halloway now?
Yeah, we got.
Just for future
duplex,
expansion, I'm just trying to figure
Andreola
out,
and
you know, in the next
Guerrero
5 years, what's gonna happen, so you only have 2 more lots
to acquire.
to play with sometime.
Yes. And then they'll ask the town to discontinue Cena Halloway. Just
Don't, so who, don't say that.
take it all.
Do
The
I,
ZBA
any
approved
comments
the
from the
special
board?
No, that's,
Just one, Bob said the magic word,
What's that?
wall.
Wall.
Detail of the wall, construction on it. It's the Bronco block wall that they used in the, and the same wall that they used over at the assisted living facility.
Can you just put that on the plan so that we have that, seeing how it is a requirement of our bylaw?
Yeah, I mean, okay, it's just
I
a
don't see it
proposed
on there,
block
so,
retaining wall by others, but, I mean,
I'd like to see a detail, I've asked it of every other, I asked it for your previous client, and you need to have it. And it should be designed at that location, if they've already cut it open, I don't think there'll be that much difficulty in terms of what.
yeah, no, I gotta say, it's the same exact wall structure, system that they used across the street.
It says the same.
You know, I mean,
Submit the report
Yeah, I
when
wanna
they
see the
sign them
detail.
all.
Yeah.
I wanna see the detail, that way it's on a stamped plan. So it's engineered for this site specifically, or the detail shows what the grades will be.
Get that to you.
You can add it on, I have no problem doing.
Probably don't have any room to add it on, so we'll probably give you a separate, just make it a separate sheet.
However you wanna do it, that's
A
fine.
separate sheet. Just-
Any other
That was my only
questions?
comment.
Yes.
Guess
Sure,
what?
please do.
Guess what he's gonna ask?
Sure.
Don't get too comfortable.
Thank you very much. Again, Harold Rhodes, Chairman, Milford Commission on Disability. Let me first ask again what the total number of parking spots and the total number of accessible spots and the total number of...
All of this information, you asked us on every one of these things, all this information was submitted to you for review, and you've submitted the report after you reviewed it. The board has it already. So I fail to see the necessity of going through this with every applicant at the night of the meeting. I'm sorry, but most of this is outside of the zoning jurisdiction. So I'd just like to throw that in.
Well, the required number of spaces for this particular use is only 51. We're providing 98. According to ADA, if you, from 50 to 100, you need 4 accessible spaces, and we have 4 accessible spaces on the property.
Do you have a van accessible spot?
We have 2 van accessible and 2 regular accessible.
I don't know what to do here. I mean, I have a number of questions, and if Larry says it's
You've already
correct.
answered them, actually.
I have.
Report.
Right.
Report you sent answers.
Well, here again, you know.
I mean, I guess, forgive me, I'm new to this, all right? So please be
Okay.
patient, okay?
All right, good.
Which I don't know what report you're referring to.
Well, why don't we stop right here, and why don't you just ask your questions right now? Please do it.
My question next would be, do you know the assessed value or the construction cost of the new area? And does it exceed 30% of the original?
And here again, I
system?
believe that you asked this question on another project, and the building inspector answered you saying that that is only applicable to government, they're not applicable to private projects. It's not, that particular incident, that requirement is not applicable to a privately owned entity.
Okay.
I think there's I mean, I've seen a response that the building inspector has given to those particular comments regarding the 30%.
Okay, I haven't
And also
seen-
the 48, the 48 with door and all that.
Again, that's the building inspector's
Right,
purview.
it's all
It's
his
got nothing to do
purview,
with site
correct.
plan.
It has nothing to do with site plan,
It
correct.
doesn't deal with this.
Yes.
He needs to make that decision.
as to whether it falls under that and whether they have to upgrade the rest of the site. But as far as us, it's not under our purview.
Right.
So everything you need to talk about would be the handicap accessible, are you, and, you know, you're happy with the 4 and 2, or that sort of thing? That's what we expect, what we thought you wanted to talk about. Am I correct?
It'll be fine.
Okay. Is there anything else we can, no, you sure, you all set? Okay.
Make a motion to amend the site plan subject to getting the
Wall
separate
detail.
wall letter detail.
Motion made by Pat, second by
I'll second it.
John. All in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You do the same.
Oh, you're welcome.
See you around.
Take care.
Yep.
All right,
Looks nice up there.
Nice to see you.
What are we, 11?
yeah. Number 11, ZBA special permit referral, 2222 Central Street, Becky, Peoria.
Number 10?
Number 10, he wasn't ready.
Oh, I'm sorry,
ready.
it's not ready. I should, I told everybody earlier.
Okay.
Good night, Bonnie.
Good night, Ron.
So number 10 is out, we're to 11.
Yeah, I might know them, I don't
All
know.
right. Dear Madam Chairman, the applicant requests a ZBA special permit to allow for a change from a non-conforming use to another in the existing building on the subject premises. The proposed use is to be a hair salon. The prior use had been a flower shop. There will be an internal alterations only. No additions to the building are being proposed. There will be no changes in the parking area. All applicable,
Oh, this is the old,
the requirements have
Wild
been met.
Wild side,
Wild
okay.
side. I find
Side
it.
of the highway department.
Yeah.
Okay.
Favor report to the ZBA.
I make a motion, we give a favorable.
Second.
Motion made by Pat, second by Pitt. Motion made by Babe, second by Pat. All in favor? Unanimous. You want that?
Yes, please.
Hey, you want
Want a
some?
cookie? Go ahead,
Yeah, come
Bob.
over here,
Oh,
Bob.
no, can we continue on to number 12?
Number 12, ZBA special permit referral 24 Cuniff Ave, Jeffrey Santoro. The applicant requests a ZBA special permit to allow for a 12 by 28 storage building to be placed on the subject property. The existing site contains both a daycare center building and a single-family attached dwelling. The variance special permit granted by the ZBA in 1992, see attached, allowed for a change from the prior non-conforming use to the current uses on the site. It also approved the site layout as it exists in the current configuration. This application seeks to allow the addition of a storage building to be associated with the dwelling. However, it is proposed to be located adjacent to the fenced-in play area and the daycare use very near the daycare building. Given the close proximity of the daycare operation, restrictions as to the use of the materials to be stored in proposed building be warranted. Therefore, I recommend a favorable report followed to the ZBA. Respectfully yours, our town planner, Larry Duncan. Okay, all right.
Since
Um,
it's not clear exactly.
Why do you
what
need
is
a
it?
garage?
What is it?
It's
It's not clear whether it's a garage
Yeah,
or
that's
a
what-
storage area.
Right.
And it's right next to the daycare, that's why I added the other suggestion.
I don't quite understand what we're trying to do here.
I think it's a two-car garage, back to back.
Where is there a picture? Yeah, here
It
it
looks like he's adding a fence, Joe.
No, the fence is already there.
No, that's,
He
Okay.
wants to stick this garage right up against the fence. and
No,
right off the
really?
corner of the daycare building,
Oh, boy.
yeah. So that's why I was more concerned about the contents and use of the building than it.
I'm gonna go out on a limb,
Are you?
make it unfavorable.
You're gonna, motion made by Pat to make it unfavorable. Do I hear a second?
Can you just elaborate on why we're doing it unfavorable so that the ZBA can? if
I don't
they
think it
decide
much
to-
matters, Joe. because whatever we elaborate on, they do it, sometimes less is best, but.
Well, I mean, is it safety concerns with the daycare being that close by?
I have
or
concerns,
that-
I don't understand why it would be sensible to put a garage essentially right on the lot line to a daycare center. I just, I don't understand the benefit to that. To be frank with you, Joe, I don't know why you need something of that size on such a small lot is another concern of mine. I guess the orientation, if you could explain the need.
Well, you know what I
don't know if you.
I'm only guessing, but what I'm guessing is that they're creating a garage because I don't believe the residence has one. So they're probably, without adding additional pavement, because if you look at where the driveway is, they'll be able to drive that existing pavement into a garage, and that gets them a garage for that other building.
And storage.
And storage. Yes, that's what I get the feeling they're doing. It obviously isn't clear.
It is
Which,
not.
which if that's what they're doing, they could easily push that away by building more of a driveway to access that. So that's why I'm asking the question. If in fact that's what they're doing, I believe there's an alternative that gets them a garage, but they have to spend a little more money. And to me, to keep the daycare center on, that isn't too much to ask.
Again, unfortunately, Joe, their purpose is for extra storage and personal items. If they've never had a garage before, I'm a little unclear of exactly what the purpose is. That doesn't, if the purpose was for storage of my vehicles, then I could understand that. But
Well,
for extra storage and personal items, doesn't tell me, it doesn't answer the question of why you need a 12 by 28.
And I guess that's why I'm saying if you were making that an unfavorable, saying that I believe there are other places to locate storage on this site
Yes.
that wouldn't require this,
Yes.
then I'd be much more saying
Yes.
amenable to saying that. That's all I'm saying.
But
I'm
they're,
unfavorable based on the orientation of the garage in correlation to the site, and I think that there's other opportunities to get him to where he wanted to be.
That's fine.
are
I would second that motion then.
Yes.
you second that?
I will second that.
Specific to the orientation
all
of
in
the.
favor?
Of the daycare.
Unanimous.
Then
Okay,
we have 14 and 15. Are you doing 16 too?
okay. No, we're not gonna do, we're gonna
Okay.
kinda hold off on that.
I'll make a motion to endorse the Mylar for Woodland Court.
Motion made by Pat, second by Babe. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
I'll make a motion to endorse the Mylar street acceptance for Roland Way.
A motion made by Pat, second by John. All in favor? Unanimous.
The board, all the members have to sign those two street
Okay.
plans over there.
All right.
You sign
I didn't adjourn.
I got one other
Yeah, babe.
thing before.
Go ahead, Babe.
I was talking to Scott Christofouli, the other night, and on the cul-de-sacs, I would like to change subdivision regulations. So in this
Yes.
cul-de-sacs, we have a planting area that fits the stormwater
Kind of.
drainage specs.
What is he saying?
So we don't have the whole 100 feet in paved. I talked to Scott about the maintenance, he says if he has to maintain it, he's got no problem because of it. I talked to Vonnie, if her and Scott could work together and come
Yeah.
up with a detail for our subdivision regulations, I think it would be a better thing for the drainage.
Yeah, depending on what the detail looks like, I
Yeah.
don't have an issue with it, because I'm more, I don't want it to be a planting area, because no
No.
one's gonna ever take care of it. It
Well,
needs to be-
Scott said it's gotta be a certain, they have a specific thing for the stormwater.
Mhm.
And he said he would maintain it because of the fact it helps with the stormwater regulations, so if we could get Scott and Vonnie to get together, come up with a detail, then we can change our subdivision regulations.
Okay.
The only other thing that we touched upon earlier, Larry, is I think that someone from the building department needs to go down and look at the sign, the double-faced sign at McDonald's, which is confusing, specifically if you're unfamiliar with the area. It shows entrance in
a direction
in
that
a
you
direction
can't
yeah,
see
you
it.
cannot, you cannot achieve it because it says do not enter, but yet there, and again, for those who are unfamiliar with the area, it could be,
You're
could
saying
be
there
very.
it's visible if you're
Yes.
southbound on
Yes.
Davis Street,
Yes.
coming to the light.
No, that's
No,
fine,
if
I
you're-
don't,
if
if you're
you're
coming
on-
off 495 and you're cross, and
If you look down Beaver Street, You'll see a sign that says enter on a street that you can't get down, so.
But you're talking about it's visible to the north,
Correct.
Yes.
and it shouldn't be there.
Right.
Correct.
It should be a one-sided sign as opposed to a
Correct.
two-sided sign.
Yeah.
And the other thing, while they're down there, I believe they may have corrected it, but they need to be made aware of the bylaw with the changeable sign, because the first night it was on that I noticed that it was changing every 5 seconds.
Does it say
Really?
grand opening, grand opening, grand opening?
No, I think it was advertising Big Macs at a certain price, but
Oh, really? How many did you get?
No, I didn't get any. I just happened to be going by and saying, that's not legal.
I'll make a motion. Are we all done?
Yeah, let's
Yes,
adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
second, motion made by Pat, seconded by John, all in favor, unanimous. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Larry, what's